People think power is in the volume, in the screams, in the threats. But let me tell you something, real power? Oh, it's in the quiet, in the stillness, in the way you enter a room and the air changes, thickens like a storm creeping in. They feel it, don't they? That tension, that itch crawling up their spine. And you don't have to say a damn thing. You want them to fear you? Then understand this: fear isn't loud. Fear isn't messy. No, fear is the absence of knowing. The pause before the answer. The space between the breaths. People are terrified of silence. It forces them to think, to question, to wonder, and nothing is more horrifying than the unknown. Look at the world. Look at how desperate everyone is to be heard. Yelling, typing, posting, screaming into a void, begging for a response, validation. But the ones who hold the real power, they don't beg, they don't explain, they don't chase attention. They let the world come to them, because silence forces people to listen. Oh, and they will listen, because when you say nothing, their minds fill the blanks with nightmares of their own creation. They will paint you in the darkest colors, whisper rumors about the monster you might be, and that is power. They will fear your presence without you uttering a word. Because the loud ones, they're predictable. They need to be seen to be understood. But you are the question that keeps them up at night. The shadow lurking in their thoughts. The possibility they can't comprehend. So let them wonder, let them doubt. And when the time comes, smile, just enough to make their blood run cold. Because the devil doesn't have to raise his voice to be heard. But let's talk about you, about the life you've built, or rather, the life you've been handed. You wake up every day, put on your mask, step into the world, and pretend. Pretend to care, pretend to listen, pretend you're one of them. But deep down, you've always known. You are different. The rules they follow, they don't apply to you. The fears they drown in, they don't consume you the same way. You watch them scurry, desperate for attention, clinging to their illusions of control. They scream into the void, hoping anyone will acknowledge their existence. But you don't beg, you don't shout, you don't waste breath on the trivial. You let your silence carve a space in their minds, a space they can't escape from. You see, people are creatures of noise. They fill every silence with meaningless words, every pause with empty gestures. They can't stand the stillness because in that stillness, their own fears whisper the truth to them. They aren't as strong as they pretend to be. They aren't as happy as they claim. And they sure as hell aren't in control. But you are the mirror they don't want to face. The reminder that their screams mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to fight to win. You exist. And that alone unsettles them, because what they can't understand, they fear. And what they fear, they obey. Power isn't in the fists. It's not in the threats. It's in the presence, the weight of a stare, the unshaken composure of someone who doesn't play by their rules. They will call you a villain, a monster, an anomaly. Let them, because deep down they know the truth. The moment you stopped begging for approval, you became something they could never be: free. And freedom, my dear friend, is the most terrifying thing of all. You ever notice how they react to you? How they try to decode your every move? Oh, it's fascinating, really. The way they tilt their heads, narrow their eyes, waiting for a hint, a clue, a sign that tells them what you're thinking. But you won't give them that satisfaction, will you? No. That's where the fun is. Letting them writhe in their own uncertainty. Because, see, people are addicted to control. They want to put everything in a box, slap a label on it, understand it so they can file it away and feel safe. But you don't fit into their little categories, do you? No, you spill over the edges. You leak into their dreams. You disrupt the illusion of order they cling to so desperately. And that drives them mad. You don't need to be violent to make them tremble. You don't need to lay a hand on them to make them feel your presence under their skin, itching, gnawing at their minds. No, all it takes is knowing something they don't. Something they can never quite grasp. Something just out of reach. That's what keeps them up at night. That's what makes them sweat when they hear your name. It's the whisper in the silence. The footstep that never lands. The idea, the possibility that you're always a step ahead, always watching, always thinking. And worst of all, that they'll never, ever know what comes next. So let them fear, let them scramble, let them wonder, because nothing is more terrifying than a question left unanswered. And if you want to hear more truths like this, more insights they don't want you to know, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, stick around. After all, silence may be golden, but knowing what lurks in the dark? Oh, that's priceless.